Alright guys, welcome back to Monthly Cup 15. We have two games remaining. Third place match versus Zarakar versus Kahilian. Then we have the grand finals, Alva versus Aloof. So some heated matches to remain. We're gonna go straight into Zarakar versus Kahilian. Both these players have the opportunity to win $500. And then the losing player will take home $100. So there's quite a bit of money on the line, even in the third place match.
Yeah, and just looking through all of my notes here, this is a rematch of an opening round matchup from the June Monthly Cup. Kahilian winning that matchup 3-1 over Zarakar, so he'll be looking for that little bit of revenge here. Starting off with that yellow tempo that we just saw in Kahilian, starting with a green-blue to kick things off with. Very interestingly, Aridin and a Tiki Totem in there.
I'm already very happy with the start of this game. Some of the two cards you just don't see very often, and they're being kept as well. So this is looking like a spicy deck coming from Kahilian. And to be fair, I do believe Kahilian has brought some interesting deck lineups in the past. I do believe he brought Green Rush once and was very successful with it, much like Lou was.
Yeah, we've seen how well that has done today, and definitely having something like Aridin Tiki Totem in the deck, you want those cards in your opening hand, because the more value that you can get out of them, obviously the better that they are. So that means the earlier you pick them up, the better they're going to be. And like this situation, he could play both right here and start that that value as early as possible.
Totem value going off here. Aridin coming down as a 4/4. Now can directly challenge the Charger, so it lines up perfectly against Zarakar's current board. And once this dies, everything else is going to get powered up as well.
Yeah, and not only lines up perfectly into the Windstorm Charger, but dodges that Choking Sand in Zarakar's hands. So very nice from Kahilian here to have those, I'll call them combo pieces together, but it's going to be it's really going to be so much value if he's not only the +1 from Aridin onto all of his creatures, but then the +1 from Tiki Totem, because there's probably not a lot that Zarakar is going to be able to do without just maneuvering his creatures around. There's nothing like Emperor's Command in here to directly target that structure.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Yellow Tempo. It's not really running the Emperor's Command anymore. It doesn't have room for it, and being able to take care of this totem is going to demand mobility in the forms of Kalim's Training and Flashwind and Fanatic, and then you're actually investing these resources into killing a Tiki Totem. This is not something you'd usually invest those resources into, you know? It's very weird.
Yeah, it is quite weird. It's not something that you usually see, and I'm wondering if Zarakar, right now, because he hasn't made any lands at all, if he's just really almost confused by it, of like, what do I even do at this stage?
Oh wow, and now Deepwood Stalker can clear out this 5/3, but you could even go for the Aridin clear first to enable the power up, and then you can Deepwood Stalker onto the Charger.
Yeah, it's going to be an unbelievable swing if that's what he chooses to go for. The Deepwood Stalker is going to get the +1/1 from Aridin, and then it's going to get +1 from being the first creature played here with the Tiki Totem, and killing that Charger is massive, especially when you can do it from a distance like this. This is so cool to see, and we're only, 3 cards into the deck here from Kahilian.
And the power-up is going to play around Choking Sand, stopping that double collection outside of a mobility trick, so wow, this Tiki Totem is doing work, and Aridin is pushing all these creatures up, and every creature that is in Kahilian's deck is getting a +1/+1 bonus, and then the first creature that's played is also going to gain a bonus as well. Is he actually investing? No, he's just going to
he's going to use the movement all the way across. He's going to, I think, Flashwind and hit the totem now. Oh, he's not going to go for it. I thought maybe that was a situation where you go for the Tiki Totem, or hitting the Tiki Totem once there, and then going to hit it again on the following turn, but this is probably going to be Shifting Octopus comes down in a position where it defends the Tiki Totem, and then what? Then how do you get in at it?
And Frog Tosser being picked up here, that's going to be a very powerful creature as a 6/6. chances of it living is much higher. And this Octopus as well, I mean, it's going to have a 5/5 baseline stats before you even influence it with the choices. So, wow, this Totem and this Eridan doing lots of work right now.
This is almost a position where you could go jump and taunt just because it's already a 5/5, like you mentioned. Does go for the extra life on it as well, so it's a 5/7 taunt, but that's pretty incredible. If 5/7 for 4 Faeria, how's that feel?
That is some great stats for 4 Faeria, and Tiki Totem definitely getting its money's worth right now, Eridan as well. I'm curious to see what the win condition of this build is. Is it going still for like Sky Whales? Is that the line it's going down and the Swallow mechanic? Or is it more about powering up, say, the Frog Tosser and the Deepwood Stalkers? Maybe we'll even see, I don't know, maybe Gift the Rakoa with a combination of smaller creatures. It's very interesting. Anything could happen in this build right now.
Yeah, really. It could be a multitude of end game conditions here. I think it's probably still just the green-blue tempo in the same way that we would expect the deck to be. It's just probably a one of Tiki Totem and then, of course, one of Eridan in the off chance that you get them early enough to have this big of an impact. Now, Kahilian didn't move the Deepwood Stalker back, so there is the possibility for Zerikar to Flash Wind the Fanatic. I'd have to develop Prairie straight up the middle here, and then he'd be able to use the jump to get in at the Tiki Totem and start to remove that pressure from off the board. But really, it's already done enough. It's given plus 3/3 of buffs to Kahilian's creatures, and I mean, that's really all you can ask for.
Yep, it's got its value. I guess if you put a 1/1... A 1/1 buff represents 1 Faeria. It's already buffed 3 creatures now? Yeah. Oh, very nice move there. Take out Tiki Totem. So it's got its value. I don't think Kahilian's going to be too sad with that outcome. And he is now currently 2 lands away from the Frog Tosser. This Water Elemental as a 4/4 is actually very relevant, because now it doesn't even die to the Fanatic.
Yeah, it's actually incredible how much a +1/1 matters onto so many of these creatures. If these were their base stat lines, there would be just massive outcry from within the community of how broken these cards would be. And when you get Eridan that early on, it gives you all of these incredible stat lines throughout the course of the game. So the fact that it's going to survive against the Fanatic, the fact that it's going to take out a Charger or a Demon in an efficient way, it's going to be huge for Kahilian of value over the course of the game.
And this is why the Yellow Flyers deck is so reliant on the Sky Captain, because the Yellow Flyers need that extra buffs on their creatures to kind of outscale the threats that other decks produce. It doesn't run like all the utility tools that, say, Yellow Tempo has, because it needs to make more room for flying creatures and the Sky Captains. And I think this match is evident of how +1/+1 on any creature can have a huge influence on how a match goes.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, even just the fact that Zerikar has this Choking Sand that would be a great target, again, onto this like Water Elemental, not able to play that, doesn't have good clears at this stage. I mean, maybe you can put a Desert up in the top left corner and just trade both of your creatures and play a Shaitan Demon down, but that doesn't look that great.
And that Frog Tosser in hand is so good. Luckily, the Tiki Totem's gone, because if he did go for the Demon line, the Frog Tosser with the Totem would have lived as a 6/1, which could clear a lot of threats in Yellow Tempo. And you get the Frog as well. So I can see Frog Tosser's probably going to come down next turn regardless. Just generating that additional 2/2 and clearing a threat is massive right now. But Kahilian still has a lot of problems on the left and the right-hand side with these 2 4/4s.
Yeah, a really nice pickup there from Zerikar, getting this Outland Ranger. Allows him to clear and get this Shaitan Demon down. So does end up in a pretty big swing back the other way. But like you mentioned, this Frog Tosser is going to be really nice. Even just going for the trade of Deepwood Stalker kills off the Demon, Frog Tosser can come either on the top left and kill off the ranger, so then the frog spawns down on the bottom right, or it can come down on the bottom right and toss back up at the manta so that the frog spawns up there. There's all of these ways that you can play around, just depending on which side you want your frog tosser on, which side you want the frog to spawn on.
And yeah, I can see him sniping the manta here, just stopping the double collection on the left-hand side. Yellow Tempo is a deck that needs Faeria, just like every other deck, but they usually control the board, starving your opponent of Faeria with cheap and effective removal in creatures. But if you can start off Yellow Tempo, it's just as difficult for them to get back into a match.
I do like the Manta Rider play here. It does end up being really nice for Zerker. It's whether these two creatures on the right trade for both players, or whether something else comes down to influence that battle, the Manta Rider is going to be able to then zip across to the left or reinforce on the right. So it is a really good creature to be picked up there by Zerker.
Wait, did they buff Elemental back? Did they make him giving him +1 life instead of -1 attack? Abraham's made a mistake, guys. Wood Elemental's OP again.
The 3/5 Wood Elemental, if only.
Man, it would have been a 4/5 if we had the old Wood Elemental, and that 4 attack would have been quite relevant when lining up against demons and chargers. I mean, they're not present right now, but in very specific situations, that could have been a huge impact.
Kahilian is a little short on Faeria to do a huge swing play, but he is going to be able to, looks like, just take a trade, play the Shifting Octopus onto the right, get that even just down as the 4/6 maybe jump to continue to chase these yellow mobility creatures around the board.
Yeah, I like that. 4/6 jump seems pretty good. Oh, is he going for Wood Elemental? I'm not sure about Wood Elemental, mainly because... Oh, okay, maybe applying pressure with the Octopus, so just kind of expecting the frog to meet its fate to like Soul Drain or something very soon. And then this, on the left-hand side, like you said, can start chasing this Manta down. So Manta has nowhere to go. He's been cornered. He has enemies on either side. Face is the only place right now. And even then, the Octopus can get to him.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have that extra mobility on the jump right now so that you can chase around all of these yellow mobility creatures. You have to play the Choking Sands here. It's funny because the Choking Sands probably would have had a very good impact early in the game, but because of the Aridin coming down and then the Tiki Totem as well, there's never been a good place for Zerker to play it, and then now it ends up saved for a really good trade onto a Wood Elemental. So it's just funny that it would have been played, it probably would have been played earlier, and it ends up being just as good later on.
Yeah, the Choking Sands had some great targets in the early game, but right now, being able to take care of the Wood Elemental means the Manta survives and potentially double collects on the following turn. Now, we know there's a second Wood Elemental coming down. Now, I'm curious to see if... So, I think you have two choices here. You either Wood Elemental a land below the Octopus to collect, double collect with the Frog, and then move the Octopus into a more aggressive position, or you could move the Octopus aggressively first and then build an aggressive forest. But I think we'd probably value the Faeria more over aggro forest right now. This 4/6 isn't going anywhere.
Maybe jumps down into there, so even if the creatures on the right just trade, the Octopus can jump across and kill the Manta. If any other creature is played, the Octopus can chase that creature around. There's just no good spot for Zerker to play anything else right now.
I think Zerikar's best option right now is potentially Soul Drain on the Frog, +1 into Demon, and then put the Demon next to the Manta Rider to try and protect the Manta. And then you can maybe... No, that's even not that good. I mean, the Octopus survives killing the Demon. This Octopus is such a pain.
I think the best there for Zerker probably would have been like a Flash Wind, so he could have zipped the Manta up, or the Manta Rider up and collected, maybe even played a Colossus, because that would have been difficult for all of Kahilian's creatures to deal with. That probably was what he was going for with the draw there, but yeah, now you're in a position where Shaitan Demon or Windstorm Charger, your only creatures that you can play, and both die pretty efficiently to this Octopus on board. It is going to protect a little bit, but
not enough.
Another land creation that the Octopus is going to jump over and kill that Manta anyway.
So fortunately for Zarakar, Kahilian's draws are a bit clunky. He's built up to 9 special lands. Now, I don't think Tree of Everlife is going to be in this list. Kahilian could surprise if we've just seen Tiki Token and Eridan, so anything can happen, really. But we'll see.
And then he's going to use the Time of Legends to grab it out of his deck.
Come on, Kahilian. Give us a taste of what legendaries you have in this list. Use the Time of Legends.
It would be very interesting. I mean, we've seen almost half the deck now, but it would be interesting if this deck is running something like Apex Predator as well, just as your late game. You have all these tempo creatures, but then you still have a late game win condition as well, because they would get the +1 from Eridan, and then they would get all of the extra buffs from the fact that your creatures have got the +1 as well. So that could be very impactful as a late game win condition if that is something Kahilian has in here, but we'll have to see what he has, because right now Frog Tosser has been the biggest thing that he's played.
I mean, that Time of Legend would give us a big idea of what this deck's late game is. I mean, it could just find, well, it could just find a Tephra, could just find a Fugoro. A Fugoro is more likely than a Tephra, but I'd like to see it played, but he's not going to play it yet. He's going to tease us a little longer. Right now, I feel that, again, Choking Sands, if this was a normal Octopus, Choking Sands would be brilliant right now.
Yeah, that's the power of the early Eridan, and definitely why Kahilian's running Time of Legend. Maybe there's another legendary creature that he's playing in here, but I would more expect that Time of Legends is in here because that gives you 2 draws to get Eridan out of your deck and onto the board as quickly as possible. Yes, and that definitely seems like what the deck is focused at.
Yeah, potentially this Time of Legends doesn't search anything. Maybe Eridan was the only choice, and he doesn't want to play it because unless you have spare Faeria, there's no point in putting that random green into your deck. You'd rather draw into your own cards at this point. Maybe a Willow. You have double feed. If you put Tephra into your deck, you're not going to be able to play it. You're going to want to draw that Willow instead. So yeah, that's probably why we're not seeing it.
Fnatic picked up for Zerker is actually really nice. He could move the Manta up, get the collection, and then bring it back across over to the left and kill the 4/1 Octopus. And then the 4/6 is stuck in between the wells without that extra movement that we've been talking about to catch up to all of these yellows. So Soul Drain also comes down with that line, and this is a really nice pickup from Zerker.
Yeah, things are starting to pick up for him now. He's not as oppressed as he once was by that jump in Octopus. The extra collection there, the Curious Biomancer is an interesting one. I'm curious to see of what he finds. But yeah, these Colossus. It looks
like he is going to play it.
Yeah, these Colossus are going to be a big deal coming up.
Deepwood Stalker is picked up. That'll be nice to clear off the Fnatic here. It could just be a Wood Elemental coming down as well on the bottom left corner to have 2 taunt creatures on the only wells that this Fnatic can reach. But Kahilian really needs something else big at this stage, because Zerker looks like he could possibly get a Colossus down next turn, and based on what we've seen so far, it looks like this deck from Kahilian might struggle to deal with a 7/7.
Yeah, we haven't seen the meat of the deck yet. We've seen a lot of smaller creatures, a bit of land ramp. Interesting that he opted for the Frog Tosser here, because I feel like the Frog Tosser has kind of bigger fish to fry, Windstorm Charger being one of them. And you know your opponent's going to be running at least 3 of them. It's very odd to see less than 3 in yellow tempo. And it is going to be a Colossus dashing in between the wells, lock out that collection. Very nice there.
Another Frog Tosser picked up. So Deepwood Stalker does allow the clear here. Deepwood Stalker and the Octopus on the right will clear the Colossus and just continue to lock Zerker out of the game. Does Kahilian just start pushing 2 damage to the orb with this frog, or is he gonna I just don't know at this stage. I feel there's got to be something bigger in the deck, but based on what we've seen, it still looks like it's just all of these kind of mid-rangey tempo play creatures.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it keeps drawing into feeds and little guys who are not as little as they used to be, thanks to Eridan, but yeah, it looks like Frog Tosser is going to be the choice. I don't know. I don't like Frog Tosser. Again, like, I feel like Frog Tosser has better targets right now. I guess
I'm actually kind of surprised that Kahilian didn't go for Wood Elemental feed first. But, yeah. I mean, this does, again, open up. He's got these extra creatures onto the board, and that just everything that Zeraka played, Kahilian had an answer to. So, very interesting deck coming out from Kahilian for game number 1, and he's able to take it with all of these just tempo advantages and the big early Eridan Tiki Totem spike.
Now, my question is, do you feel that Kahilian only had such a clean game because of Tiki Totem Eridan? Do you think things would have went differently if those two cards didn't show up in his opening hand?
I want to say yes, but it's not 100% because the Frog Tossers still line up really nicely into things like the Charger, even clearing the Fanatic. Those are still the same, but the fact that he was able to get such big advantages with when the Deepwood Stalkers came down, the Wood Elementals, I mean, the Octopus were actually massive, getting just that +1. The first one got the +2/2, but I mean, that's just the way that card is designed. Of if you get Eridan early, he's so much more impactful than getting it later on.
Yeah, and the +1 attack was mostly relevant because of Chokin Sands, right? There were some good opportunities for Chokin Sands in the early game to give the yellow tempo that momentum, but because they all got pushed out of it with the either the Tiki Totem or the Eridan, it was so difficult to set up any real pressure.
Yeah, and there it is again. Kahilian has gone for a start that is more favored towards getting the Water Elemental down this turn, and that's what he's going to continue to go for. But that means next turn, Eridan's going to be able to come out, and we should see probably a very similar game. Those creatures are going to get to that 4/4. Frog Tosser is going to be a 5/5, and that means it's going to clear Underground Boss very easily. So Zeraka doing the complete switch from a more control style game to just going, no, I have to rush in order to have any chance to stay in this game.
Yeah, he's respecting the Tiki Totem now. He can't let that come down again and, ruin his plans. So just going for the kind of aggro here. The thing is, an aggro line like this is not too bad, because if you pick up Horsemaster, Boss could potentially get an orb hit, or he could clear out a threat. But not only that, the Boss can single-handedly carry his economy until it's removed. And there's no hard removal. If a flower came down, that would be devastating for Zeraka, but we haven't seen any yet. We've seen feeds, octopus, elementals, and spiders. That's about it, really, outside of the Eridan Tiki Totem. So we don't know what kind of other reactive cards Kahilian has access to.
Yeah, and that'll be pretty big of what the deck is, whether that is, just all that's in here, or whether there are some other things, some surprises that we didn't see. But Zeraka, I mean, he's going to be able to clear Eridan here, but is he going to get an Axe Grinder down? Do you continue to push maybe over towards the left side and try to get an Axe Grinder position? Do you push towards the right and contest that Water Elemental and just leave Eridan alone on the left side?
I think you go left side here, double neutral straight across, get that well spot, because you have 2 Axe Grinders in hand, and that allows you to kill Eridan this turn, and not just move away from it. I mean, it's kind of the inevitable, I think. I don't think Kahilian's gonna start wandering his Eridan off into double collection. He's gonna try and get value out of it immediately at the cost of Faeria. So I think just take it now. You get more Faeria. You can double neutral across, set up that Axe Grinder spot, and next turn, maybe Axe Grinders can come down, take care of that air elemental if you get say a flame burst or something. So yeah, I feel this is correct.
And going for the extra gift of steel again, playing into just saying Kahilian isn't running any control tools in here, not running any crystal flowers, not running something like Frogify in this type of a list. And from what we've seen so far, he would be correct in making this guess. So very interesting that he's gone for just the all-in underground boss so early in this game.
Yeah, the gift of steel there is playing around Spider, I would imagine. Just making sure it can't be cleared. You get a lot of Faeria back, but currently Zarakar's only two options are Axe Grinders. He doesn't have anything else just yet until he draws, and I assume there isn't going to be a power wheel draw next turn to set up that mountain on the well spot. They'll start getting these Axe Grinders down and doing work. The Earthcraft could be quite handy here, but then you have to weigh up, can you play the Octopus? I guess you could +1. So instead of building land, you could Earthcraft +1 Octopus. Do you set up the Tiki Totem yet? Is it really worth it? Probably not, because you can't play an Octopus with it.
Yeah, that's the big thing is Tiki Totem, you can't just play the card by or the structure by itself. You need to combo that into any creature. So it looks like we're going to get a Shifting Octopus for this turn, and the Water Elemental is just going to stay where it is. Going for the big buff there, the double attack is going to actually contest this underground boss.
So this is very dangerous for Kahilian if a Bomb Slinger shows up, but his opponent must have that exact answer, or maybe like double removal. But if double removal comes out, you can still play the Octopus in the same stat line next to it, and then removal is demanded again. So I like this 8-4. I think it's pretty smart.
Yeah, and it looks like, based on what we see so far, it is going to pan out for Kahilian. This might be a situation where Zeraka has to move the underground boss back onto his mountain, develop another mountain right on the well, and play Axe Grinders over there so that they can contest this 8-4 rather than losing his underground boss to it.
See, this is a reaction to the preemptive Gift of Steel. And it's worked out really nicely for Kahilian. He's actually going to just take it. He's just going to say, right, I'm just going to clear this now, get the Axe Grinder down, get another boss down, and just fill up the board. Rather than just trying to dance around this 8-4, just take it out right now. And there is 4 attack on this Deepwood Stalker with the Tiki Totem. Can actually clear the Axe Grinder. And it will live to tell the tale. It'll have 1 life remaining.
Yeah, he could go for that +1 Faeria right now, so the Tiki Totem coming down, even move the Water Elemental either in front of his orb or just over 1 onto the lake and put the Tiki Totem into that spot the Water Elemental is currently on, so it's more protected. Even onto the lake in the top left corner would be that bit extra protected as well, but I'm not sure if you want to play that close to an opponent mountain right now, but that looks very strong to go Tiki Totem to give the Deepwood Stalker the extra buff to clear off the Axe Grinder here.
I guess the only issue is the positioning for the Deepwood Stalker does allow the boss to get value. So that's maybe why he wouldn't go for it right now. Could just go double life here. Doesn't necessarily need taunt. Just make a 4-8. And yeah, just make a 4-8. And then this Octopus could help in clearing out this boss in the future.
Yep, looks very nice here. The versatility of this Shifting Octopus is so cool for this style of deck. Just having seen it come to the forefront, really, of the competitive Faeria scene since Oversky was released because of all of the different things that you can do because of these cards.
I love Octopus. I think it's one of the cooler cards from Oversky. I like cards that have a lot of choices, and Octopus gives you so many different ways you can adapt this Octopus into certain situations. And if you identify, like, if you make reads and stuff against what your opponent might play, you can adapt your Octopus around those reads. So very cool cards. I hope we get more of these in the future. And we're actually seeing Octopus in a whole new light now, because Eridan Octopus is something I've never seen before. And it's turned out to be pretty powerful now that I look at it.
Yeah, it's really showing the strength of this card when you get it early enough in the game. But just the fact that this kind of a deck was so strong and has so many interesting things that it can do, that when you give it that every creature +1, +1/1, sorry, it's that much more impactful. It's actually ridiculous.
Now, if a Flame Burst comes down to clear out this Octopus, I think it's pretty sad for Zarakar, because he's invested in 6 Faeria and 2 cards into killing 1 4 Faeria card. It's not good for red. It's not good value. Red need to get as much value as possible, and that Frog Tosser is incredible.
And that is actually insane. That is kind of what I mentioned right off the start when we were talking about all of the impact of Aridin throughout the course of the game. Frog Tosser being a 5/5 clears off the boss just by itself. You don't have to use anything else. It does give the combat trigger, but I mean, at that stage, you're completely fine with it because it doesn't give 2 combat triggers. So something like a Firestorm would still end up clearing this whole board, but then Cahillion's still in that first move advantage that we've been talking about throughout the course of the day.
And I like the lake here for the water elemental to step on. It means that it can double collect off the Earthcraft into special land, and that sets up for any potential whales or Tree of Everlife or whatever kind of top end land requirement cards that Zarakar is running, which we haven't seen yet. So, you know, Zarakar has a few surprises in store for him, because if we haven't seen it, there's a huge chance that he hasn't seen the top end of this list yet.
Yeah, definitely. It's just Zarakar going for the draw. They're probably looking for that AoE. Underground Brigand just doesn't have a safe spot to come down in. I mean, I guess you can go Brigand and Axe Grinder this turn if you choose to, but going to go for the Flame Burst instead to clear off the 5/2. And this is just going to be Deepwood Stalker and continue, you know, the status quo here of clearing off everything as soon as Zarakar plays it.
Doesn't even need to double neutral here. You can go Earthcraft, Special Land, double collect, collect the Frog, and then Deepwood Stalker.
I don't even mind fully collecting and getting the Tiki Totem down. That, to me, feels like you really just seal the game. Unless Zarakar picks up another Flame Burst, and then he's got to invest that resource into clearing the Tiki Totem instead of one of your creatures. It just seems so easy here to go for the extra power that is provided by this structure.
And I like the positioning of the Spider here. Can clear out any Axe Grinders that come down. And there is an Axe Grinder in Zarakar's hand. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw in the towel here, because, like you said, that Tiki Totem is just never going to die. Unless you throw a Flame Burst at it. And if you're throwing a Flame Burst at a Tiki Totem, I don't think that's a winning line.
No, definitely doesn't look like it here. And even the fact that an Axe Grinder can come down and it, you know, maybe trades into the 4/4 Deepwood Stalker there. We can see the other one in hand for Cahillion, and that's going to kill the Axe Grinder and still survive with 1 life. So it's just so many, you know, kind of losing positions for Zarakar right now. The big thing is Cahillion actually can't play one of these in a good enough way to rush faster than he currently is. All of the creatures that he has, the Deepwood Stalkers, the Frog Tossers, you have to fight a creature. So Zarakar just doesn't play creatures, then
he's not going to get any value out of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really awkward way to say it, but that's kind of the way that it is right now. He's trying to ensure that he can find something like a Ground Shaker, something that gets bigger value, rather than just throwing Axe Grinders that are going to get cleared very efficiently.
I think another thing to consider is Cahillion's in a spot now where he doesn't actually need to go in right now. He can just build more defensive land, lock out these mountains with his 2 creatures. I would definitely consider pushing 3 damage this turn and just getting the clock rolling. But covering the mountains is going to be really strong here. You might actually double collect, go for the collection, or maybe +1 into another Earthcraft, and just keep thinning that deck out, trying to find some kind of big threat. And, well, there's no confirmation that any big threats are actually in this list. It might just be a bunch of elementals, spiders, and frog tossers.
Yeah, we've seen nothing to indicate that there's anything bigger than a frog tosser in this list, and that seems like it's really relying on getting Aridin early, but I mean, Kahilian has been doing pretty well when he gets that Aerodin early on.
I mean, he's pretty much 100% getting Aerodin early in this fight, in this third place match so far. So if he was to win this game and pulls Aerodin in his open hand next turn, it's this deck's tier 1, 100%. No variance required, 100% tier 1.
No, 100% when you get Aerodin early. And again, Zerker doesn't play any creatures, and that limits what Kahilian can do because he can't go Frog Tosser here. I shouldn't say he can't, but you lose so much value if you go for one of these creatures in this spot where you don't have anything to fight with them.
Time of Legends. Do it, Kahilian. Tell us if there's any other legendaries in your deck. We want to know.
This is where you Time of Legends something like a red or a yellow, and you just start building other color lands as well. But it does pick up a Sky Whale, so there is more of the big late game creature that we were expecting to see something of in this deck.
But it is a reactive creature. It's a creature that wants to swallow something and get value. Firestorm pickup. Oh, if there was a Ground Shaker to go with that, that would have been really nice. Ground Shaker, aggressively in the middle there, and then +1. Yeah, then +1 into Firestorm would have been great, but unfortunately didn't have it.
And did already go for the draw, so can't go for something like +1 Faeria double Underground Brigand there.
Alright, now we're in business. So we can go Whale, steal the Brigand, or go Octopus first into a 9-4, and then play a Whale, and then just try and win the game there.
Or you just go for the Frog Tosser and then Whale your own Frog Tosser. So if your opponent does deal with the 7/7, they then have to deal with the 5 attack Frog Tosser afterwards as well.
Next level. I think Kahilian's in a position where you can just have a bit of fun now. I guess if you want to play
It's
around...
going to be another 8/4. Oh, 7/7.
For 7/7. All right, going for a cleaner stat line, keeping the Whale for bigger fish like Cypher, Ground Shaker. Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Zerker still would love to find a Ground Shaker here. Even a Cypher's Wrath would be very nice to slow the game back down as well. Could Cypher's Wrath the Deepwood Stalker, the 4/1, and then just Crystal Flower, the 7/7, and just slow the game back down for a couple more turns, but there's still so much advantage for Kahilian at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, really. Kahilian is in such a massive position. It's really... I don't know how Zeraka actually wins this. There's so much reactive play from his hand. Nothing should ever stick on board. Ever again. There's just no way. He can play up maximum from now on a creature a turn. There are 3 reactive cards in hand. He is drawing every turn. There we go. He's never gonna get anything on board now. Oh, he blocked his collection. Mistakes.
Big thing here is, I mean, there's very good comeback there, or could have been with a Ground Shaker. Clears there would have been very nice, but Zerker had just committed all of his Faeria on the turn before to the clear that he went for, and it just, slows the game down, but not enough to actually get him back into the game. Just every single creature that came down, Kahilian had an answer for.
And that goes to show the strength of this list so far. It is a very reactive list, but if you get that Aerodin or that Tiki Totem, pushing the reach of your fight creatures or your combat as they come in creatures proves to be very powerful. Especially if you have Aerodin trigger first, and then you get the Tiki Totem buffs. You get to dodge popular removal like Choking Sands, when the first game was an absolute nightmare for Zeraka. And again, the nightmare continues into game 3.
Yeah, Zeraka down to his final deck here. It's going to be this green-yellow sack that we saw. Has the Skyyaks in it, has the Soul Eaters that he can maybe eventually get to, but that's where something like the Sky Whales might really swing the game. But all of the early game is small creatures, and that's where this green-blue really specializes, is taking out those small creatures from a distance. This Bone Collector is never going to get rolling if Kahilian can find a Deepwood Stalker, a Frog Tosser early enough to kill it.
And how does the green-yellow sacrifice deal with Tiki Totem? it's going to be a very difficult card for it to answer. And with the Water Elemental start as well, we're going to see a massive acceleration in the land on turn 1. You're going to go lake, explore, water into another lake. Water Elemental gets to collect, Earthcraft, Octopus. The aggressor here is going to be Kahilian, and all these Deepwood Stalkers and Frog Tossers are going to work so much in his favor in the early game because, you know, Sack just runs tiny guys. They just get killed very easily.
Yeah, and I think, onto your point of the Tiki Totem, if that's something Kahilian finds early enough to take advantage of, I think Zerachar was running Wind Soldiers in his yellow tempo, if I'm remembering correctly, which, yeah, means he's not going to have any good way to take them out. I think he was running all of the movement possible in that yellow tempo as well, so there's not going to be things like Fanatic, or maybe there's like one Ordrum Fanatic in this. There's probably not any Flash Winds, so it's going to be very difficult if Kahilian's able to get that early and put it down in a protected position. Zerachar's just going to have no way to deal with that. It's just going to be a very difficult matchup in just the way the decks are designed.
Bone Collector could be a savior if you can get some early sacks off, get it out of the range of all these creatures. I can't see it happening just yet. Maybe next turn and get some stuff rolling. You know, get the Elder down, it collects, get the Wrangler off. Maybe just play a Flash Salmon to die next to the Bone Collector to push it out of reach. But this land acceleration in hand for Kahilian is going to get him much quicker to that Frog Tosser. So these sacks need to happen soon, and they need to happen fast.
Yeah, this could be a position where Kahilian plays a Shifting Octopus right now, even just as the 3/5 jump, and you're going to, you know, make that decision to try to go get to the Bone Collector as quick as possible, or just contest all these creatures. This deck of the green-yellow really struggles at movement. It struggles at the early game if you have bigger creatures. It's designed to play towards that late game, and Kahilian, even in this deck that wants to play slower and take these better trades, if you can get in early at a deck that is slower, it can really take advantage.
And Octopus is definitely a card that does that. Going as a 3/7, so just making it as durable as possible so it can clear as many creatures as possible. This is a 4 Faeria investment now, but it could clear up to 6 Faeria of creatures. It could kill a Yak, then it could kill like a Village Elder, and maybe soak a Flash Salmon. It's very much possible with a very high life creature.
Yeah, definitely. And going for that 3/7, even though you've seen that your opponent is playing deserts, they are playing yellow, you've also seen that they've played a yellow tempo earlier, so you know that this deck probably isn't running anything like Choking Sands. Maybe it's running like a 1 or 2 of Last Nightmare that really isn't a good target to go onto the Shifting Octopus. It's so much value that you can generate just because you know that your opponent isn't going to have that removal because of what they've already played.
And Demon Wrangler making the sack quite awkward. You can actually set up your lands awkwardly when you're trying to make this Village Elder sack and get value on your Bone Collector. I've played green yellow sack enough that sometimes it just doesn't line up because you want your deserts on your wells anyway. If you run Wind Soldier, I don't think he runs it because Yellow Tempo had it, so maybe he could have adjusted his land to make the sack a bit more viable. But yeah, it can be difficult based on like this kind of cluttered positioning you get from building out from your orb, and you don't get a lot of movement to move Bone Collector in the early game.
This is a little awkward from Kahilian as well. He still has the Power Wheel available, but should kill the Skyak with the Octopus and then trade the Elemental into the Demon Wing if that's the trade that he's going to go for, because that saves the extra life onto your Octopus, because otherwise if you're trading your Elemental into the Skyak, it dies anyway. There's no reason to take that 2 extra damage from the Octopus trading into the Demon. So yeah, it does line this up in the right way, and that's going to allow another Octopus to come down, and now Kahilian just owns the left side of the board.
Do you like 3/5 jump here to force the Bone Collector to kind of retreat, and then you kind of dictate the land development of Zerachar to maybe make a land up on the right hand side of the well? Yeah, so he's kind of just forcing Zerachar to build towards the other side of the board and pushing his creatures away.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the first Octopus come down as a 3/5 jump as well, just because then you're going for the same plan. You really can't let this Bone Collector get snowballing. I mean, even still, no matter the way that the sacrifices go, I think Frog Tosser is going to be able to kill the Bone Collector next turn. But
yep, dictating that land movement.
You have to continue to push away because you don't have the resources to get this Bone Collector snowballing yet.
Wow, did find a Skyak. That could help a lot in just keeping these octopus at bay. Do you feed the Bone Collector, then play 2 Skyaks?
I almost feel at this stage you continue to push away, maybe even push the Demon Wrangler up a space and then flash Salmon in just above the Bone Collector, but then move the Bone Collector onto the desert anyway. You get that extra cycle for this turn. You get the extra creature to die from the Bone Collector, and then you're looking to maybe just 7/7 Soul Eater next turn type of thing. Yeah, this type of movement just without having gone for the Feed the Forest for the extra cycle, and now picks up a Living Willow that could have been a much better Feed the Forest target anyway.
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of a desperate move, but I can understand why things are looking pretty bleak. I mean, it does get out of range of that Frog Tosser, so Zarakar did have a game plan. At least, you know, he respected the Frog Tosser and was willing to invest resources into keeping this Bone Collector alive, but, you know, things are looking pretty sad. You know, Azura Skywhale's just sitting in the wings waiting to swallow any big threats that come down. Anything small that comes down, Frog Tosser's going to answer. It's looking very good for Kahilian right now.
Actually not going for the Frog Tosser at all there, so doesn't play that until he actually gets the clear onto something. This could be a position where you just go for a desert just up to the left of the forest here, so that your Soul Eater, when it comes down, could go to the orb. It's only a 6/6 right now, but that still is going to represent damage going to your opponent. Even the Skyak as a follow-up could be maybe a 2 or 3 turn lethal, depending on the way that you can get those trades in. It's a position that Zarakar might have to consider here, but looks like he's going to play a little slower instead.
No, I quite like that because at the moment, Zarakar is in a losing position. His opponent's double collecting. He's been hit by this octopus. Who knows what reactive cards are in hand? Right now, there isn't a whale. There isn't any possibilities of a whale either. So you could take the initiative here, play a Soul Eater, and maybe that Soul Eater, instead of going orb damage for the race, it could start fighting in between the whales on the left-hand side.
Continuing to play slow here, Zarakar just goes for the Bone Collector. Going to play this double Skyak in a spot where he's just going to try to kill off the octopus here. And then if the Skyaks both die, they're going to both buff Bone Collectors, and you're going to be able to snowball both of these creatures before you even get to your Soul Eater. That is that kind of secondary win condition of the deck that we generally talk about. If you can get one of these Bone Collectors rolling, you can really snowball your opponent's removal into them, and then they have nothing to contest the Soul Eater later on.
What do you think the line is here? Do you kill a yak, make a land, and then Frog Tosser so the frog can spawn?
Yeah, you'd have to... The yak should still spawn even if there's no land. You would just then have to create a land... Or does it actually create on an empty space?
It has to be created on an empty space, so you'd have to develop land first.
Okay, so you'd have to develop below the Skyak, or even, I guess, just above the octopus, which is behind the first Skyak. Kill that one, and then... Your jump just isn't good enough there.
Oh, actually, you could develop two
this
lands.
Is a really nice one as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it would just be Frog Tosser, and then the Frog Tosser will kill the Bone Collector here is really nice as well.
I kind of like building a land above the octopus now, and then playing the Frog Tosser there, because you just apply far more pressure this way, and, you know, Kahilian's been on point with this deck. It looks like he's put a lot of practice into it.
Ooh, the next Skyak picked up. That's pretty big. That's going to be 4 creatures down when he plays it, and the Soul Eater's already at an 8/8. This is getting very interesting here of Zarakar being able to swing this game back around just with maybe one Soul Eater.
There is a whale to check that Soul Eater, but the Skyaxe, I think, are going to be the bigger threat. Because the Skyaxe will now generate 4, I believe.
Yeah, after this Skyaxe dies, there have been 3 already died through the game. So this Skyaxe, when it spawned, will put 4 onto the board. And that's going to be actually pretty difficult for Kahilian to deal with. He has enough creatures and the Frog Tosser in hand to deal with those Skyaxe. But the problem there is they're all going to generate an extra buff onto the Bone Collector. If he's then forced to Skywhale the Bone Collector, Soul Eater is going to come down currently at a 9-9. Even just one of these Skyaxe dying, that's a 10-10 and a 2-turn lethal setup.
Oh, and then double neutral into the Elder. I like this from Zarika. Using the Yax as a defensive tool, but that is a huge draw. Wow, that is a lot of cards going to the hand. That must be tempting.
Yeah, that's very big. You're going to pick up a couple Deepwood Stalkers, which are going to be very important. Could even allow him to, like Deepwood Stalker to pick off the Village Elder on the far side there. Frog Tosser is also another very good one to pick off the Village Elder because you'll get your Frog over there. That's a big swing in terms of Faeria income.
You can also find Eridan with this as well.
Yeah, Eridan's a great one, even though we're a third of the deck gone, and this Biomancer will put it to basically half the deck gone. It still does buff in hand, so will be worth playing.
All right, let's see how many green creatures are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, the whales! Oh man,
the
that
whales
is
are
huge.
such a big pickup.
That basically means Soul Eaters are useless for the entire match as long as Kahilian keeps a collector and keeps harvesting Faeria.
Yeah, Deepwood Stalker right now, I think better than killing the Village Elder. You can Deepwood Stalker the middle Skyaxe. Bone Collector only goes to 7/7 from that. You could have gone Frog Tosser and your Water Elemental both to clear off the Bone Collector, and that really slows that down. Just because then every single one of your Skyaxe counters every single one of the Soul Eaters. But Kahilian doesn't go for that line, instead putting pressure to the orb.
And living Willows for days. Really wants to find that Feed the Forest. Get some more economy, get that Soul Eater down. There's still an opportunity to collect with a Skyaxe. I mean, you can clear these 2 threats with just 2 Skyaxe. One could go to collect, +1 into Soul Eater, so that is an option.
Well, the +1 right now doesn't allow him to Soul Eater just because he doesn't have the lands for it. Because he went for that double neutral setup towards the Village Elder, he still needs 1 more desert here, so I believe there was 1 Feed the Forest already used by Zerikar onto a Demon Wrangler earlier, so you're looking for a 2 and 13. Iona Smile, not going to do it either. That is going to get your other 2 Soul Eaters for you, but...
Oh, I like this. Keeping the Axe in play. The Axe still can challenge the Curious Biomancer. You can send a Yak off to collect on the right-hand side. I was expecting him maybe to just run the Yak in, but I like this. And then Willow coming down to also move into that collection spot. So now I wouldn't be surprised if we see the first Sky Whale come down to it now.
I think the big thing for the Sky Whale right now is it only kills off... Well, I shouldn't say it only, but it removes that Bone Collector, and that's it. So you don't remove your opponent's collection off the bottom right corner. You don't really contest as well the Skyaxe is going to collect off the bottom left-hand corner. So as much as it does clear 1 big threat, that also means that next turn another Soul Eater, if the follow-up is another Soul Eater, it's using a Skywell on a Bone Collector looks really bad just because you want to have each of them dedicated to the Soul Eaters. That's why we would have liked to have seen Kahilian go for that Bone Collector kill earlier.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity, I think, and now the Bone Collector's in a position where it is a problem, and it needs to be answered, even if it's temporarily, just to make sure this pressure can keep going. Because right now, Zarikar has kind of stabilized. He's managed to fend off the onslaught of little creatures coming from Kahelion, and now Kahelion just needs that big swing to give that momentum back. And to be fair, there is a Soul Eater follow-up for Zarakar next turn, and you might think, now I have my opportunity, but it looks like Kahelion is taking a slower route and just trying to get value at this Eridan. I can respect that as well.
Oh my goodness, and the Feed the Forest is now picked up. I think that should allow 2 Soul Eaters to come down this turn. Even if Zarakar has to Iona's Smile to grab both of them, I don't know if he has another flying creature. I guess he's still running the Flash Salmon as well. Oh,
that was painful.
That is the worst thing to see pop there.
He could actually use a Flash Salmon in combination with the Yak to clear out the Octopus, and this gives 2 power-ups to the Bone Collector, which is pretty strong. But I think Soul Eater definitely going to come down. Let's check him out. 13-13.
I don't even mind just throwing the Flash Salmons at the board to have their end of turn draw, so that you're looking for another Soul Eater next turn. You're down to 8 cards. If you can draw 2 more this turn, you're down to 6. You're, I think, very likely to pick up at least 1 more Soul Eater, and then you're looking at picking up the other Soul Eater like the turn after, and just looking to end the game. It's so close right now, though, but because Kahelion made that little bit greedier play of going for Eridan rather than the Sky Whale to clear the Bone Collector, I'm okay going for just get those other Soul Eaters as quick as possible, because your opponent's not going to be able to keep up in terms of Sky Whaling each of your threats.
But then again, if Kahelion just +1s every turn now, will he develop enough Faeria from double collecting to whale every turn going forward?
This turn he's going to go down to 1. Next turn he'll go back up to 6. If he goes +1, he'll go back up to 6. So yes, he will have the ability to do that every single turn.
Yeah, so collects 3, collects 2, gains 3, +1 again, whale, going to be able to whale. So he can chain whale, which is going to be very important. I mean, even if these whales never do anything but just chill at his orb and just keep them locked in, that's absolutely fine.
It does seem very dangerous to just have them sit at the orb, but that is possibly the way that you just win, is have them basically out-kite. Obviously, the Soul Eaters have the charge 3 to keep up with the whales, but the Bone Collector doesn't, and that's the other big threat. So whatever way Kahelion's able to deal with this Bone Collector, or just keep the whales away from the Bone Collector and have them never die, it might be the way to go.
I mean, we're getting to the end of the deck, and we haven't seen any Last Nightmares. I mean, Last Nightmare is an option for Green Yellow Sack, but one other option they tend to lean towards is Shaitan Assassin, which is no way going to get up there to clear whales if Kahelion decides to just make a wall of whales and Soul Eaters. This is a big Bone Collector, for sure. But this trigger is also quite relevant as well, because now it extends the power of all his creatures, and whales become 7/7s, because they could become that little bit more durable.
And we're going to see another sacrifice here, continuing to pump up this Bone Collector and the +1 into another Soul Eater, and it's going to be a bit crushing here for Zarakar when he sees another Sky Whale come down. I still think this is very close, because yes, there are the 3 Sky Whales going to come down for Kahelion that are going to eat all 3 of the Soul Eaters, but this Bone Collector is still going to be in a position where it just has to hit one of those Sky Whales. However Zarakar is able to make that happen, he needs to pop one of the Sky Whales, and that should be the game for him. The Soul Eaters are almost at the point where they can just one-shot Kahelion's orb, and if he's able to pop any of the Sky Whales, he doesn't have another way to get rid of those Soul Eaters. So it's going to continue to be very difficult in that spot.
I do feel that the best way for Kahelion to win this match now is through fatigue. Just put these whales into a very safe position. That's not a very safe position.
No, it's not.
And then just swallow this Soul Eater, and then next turn, wait for the next Soul Eater, swallow that, and just kite this Bone Collector with taunts. you got two wood elementals in hand. You have an octopus as well. You know, this is a lot of taunt, which is going to take time to punch through. And right now, Kahilian has plenty of time, whereas Zarakar doesn't. He's 4 cards left, 13 life. His last big creature that we know of can come down now, but it's just going to get swallowed. And then these whales can just sit back and relax.
Yeah, and we're going to see the last Soul Eater come down, and then we're going to see exactly that, the response of the last Sky Whale come down for Kahilian. This is where I wish somebody would run a deck like this and run Orasay in it. And then you just transform all of your Sky Whales, and your opponent just loses all their creatures.
The dream. That's actually a legit strategy. So there we go. You hit it here first. Scorch strategy. Just Orasay, your Sky Whales. Hard removal. Soft removal becomes hard removal.
Perfect. And you get an 8-drop, which are some of the most powerful creatures in the game. So
you get Magnus. That'd be pretty cool.
Magnus is 10.
Oh, Magnus is 10. Oh, yeah, of course.
Magnus is 10. But something like Ice Rock Behemoth is 8. Something like my favorite, Ignis, is 8. And then you can start to ping everything away on board.
Yeah, Magnus is 10. Remember that. Wait, no, is he? Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm sure Magnus is 10.
Questioning myself. It's been a long day, okay?
To be fair with that, it's been a long time since I've seen Magnus, so
you see him in some builds, you know, the bargain builds. I think Magnus should be 8. I'm going to say that right now. I hope you guys are listening over at the office.
Feed the Forest comes down onto the Biomancer. Kahilian going for these draws. Another Sky Whale comes down, and there it is. So
I don't understand why he's going in towards the Skyak and the Bone Collector.
I think he kind of backed himself into a corner there. There's nowhere that the 6/6 can move next turn that the... I guess he's going to be able to continue to taunt it every turn, but, this 12... As long as the Bone Collector moves onto the desert, there's nowhere that 6/6... Excuse me, that 6/6 can't be hit by it. And that's essentially your win condition, is popping one of these sky whales. And if, I guess that wouldn't move to move the Skyak could move back onto the forest. Is there a way that you can block? You can't block that forest of your opponent, because then the Sky Whale would just fly all the way up into the left.
If the Yak was to move onto the If the Yak was to move onto Kahilian's forest, he could clear the Yak with the whale and then play a wood elemental, and that would give him time to actually use a charge tree to go right back up the other end of the board on the following turn. But it's so risky. Oh, we
feed the forest on the Skyak
and draw more cards.
Yeah, and this is again a position where you can't do the movement with the Demon Wrangler on the far side because of the same thing. If you move that Bone Collector in the same way, if the Demon Wrangler moves onto a forest,
using a Willow, but wait, there's double Willow.
He has 2 forests right there.
Right. Okay. So
double Willow comes down. So this is pretty big right now. The fact that the Sky Whales can't collect, because otherwise Kahilian would have 8 Faeria could +1 to go to 8 Faeria this turn, which would be something like Deepwood Stalker and Frog Tosser to take out one of these Living Willows, and then you continue to kite that way. But
you just have to feed
right
the
now
forest.
You might have to feed.
Yeah, you could feed the You could feed the Wood Elemental, which is going to take him up to 9 Faeria, and that is enough to Frog Tosser, Deepwood Stalker, the bottom Willow, and then move this whale out of dodge.
Yeah, this is going to be all.
Wait, what?
It's going to be double Frog Tosser.
Yes. This is game then. Maybe that's what Kahilian was lining up. Instead of going for like the fatigue, just decided, well, actually, double Frog Tosser is going to be enough here to take care of this.
Yeah, that's a beautifully done trade.
And as you can notice, the Bone Collector didn't get the power up because it wasn't adjacent. So that worked out perfectly.
And Zerakar's stuck with all of this card draw that he doesn't need now. Could take a trade. Demon Wrangler, the Village Elder, Earthcraft, Flash Salmon, I guess +1 Flash Salmon, and just draw himself into fatigue. But I don't know what the last card is, but it does not matter. There's nothing that's going to be able to deal with any of these Sky Whales and free one of his Soul Eaters that are now 20/20, so they would be able to one-shot the opponent there.
Wait. Oh, okay. I see. There are plenty of spiders left to answer this problem. And there's also a frog.
And the mountain comes down from Zeraka, just the BM lands starting off.
And the whales alone can just clear up everything on board, and then the frog kills the demon wing. So it doesn't make any difference. You can push 9 damage this turn as well.
I don't think... No, there is lethal here. The 7/6 whale in the top kills off the taunt. The frog kills the Village Elder. So the 6/5 goes all the way across, and the 7/7 then comes down into the middle, and there's 13 damage between those two whales.
Deepwood Stalker. Eats a willow. Frog takes care of the demon wing. You can hear the Soul Eaters buffing in the whales.
Up to 23 attack power now. Deepwood Stalker comes down. He's going to clear off absolutely everything on the board. Final card for Zeraka was a Bone Collector, but does not matter in the end. Oh, sorry. These only have charge 3. I was miscounting on the lands there. So Skywhale can't come all the way across to be lethal this turn. But it will not matter, as Zeraka is left with no creatures on board. And Kahilian, with what really is a fantastic green-blue, was similar to what we saw last Monthly Cup, just doesn't have the Tree of Everlife in it anymore, and instead is running this very cool Aridin and Tiki Totem package. Going to take a very clean 3-0 victory to claim 3rd place in this Monthly Cup.
$500 going to Kahilian. Good effort from Zeraka, but this green-blue ramp. Oh, well, not even ramp. It's kind of like just control now, isn't it? Very reactive, control, power-up orientated deck. Very cool though. I like this evolution for blue-green. It's a bit more interesting than the old Tree of Everlife build.
Yeah. It is almost a tempo-based deck as well, because you're using these creatures in efficient trades as possible, and then you get them to survive, especially with running Aridin and Tiki Totem in it. They survive and they generate extra, something like the Frog Tosser generates the extra frog as well. You're able to set up on 2 different parts of the board while still clearing your opponents away. It's very cool the way that this deck is lining up. It probably does have its weaknesses. Obviously, having Lou defeat Kahilian 3-0 in the semifinals, was able to get at the deck very quickly with that green rush that we know he's running. So obviously still are ways to defeat it, but that was a pretty solid performance, I must say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that match. I really enjoyed seeing the Aridin and like how the deck came together with the totems. So I'm going to be trying that deck out myself next week, 100%, guys. So all the deck lists of the top 4 players will be on the hub in the future, as well as VODs if you missed any of the matches during the day. But we're going to go to a quick break before the grand finals. $1,500 for first place, $1,000 for second place. Lou 90 versus Alva. Who's going to take it? We'll find out very soon.